What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and we are looking at another fantastic live stream on Sunday Stock Talk. Hopefully, everyone had a fantastic 4th of July weekend here. If you live in the U.S., it was fairly nice weather here in Virginia. Really enjoyed some outdoor cooking here. All right, let's go ahead and just kind of jump into the overall markets. We're going to be probably doing a quick overview. The futures are up currently 20 points. It's like 0.62% here in the futures market. They're going to be diving in some potential. There's some earnings on the horizon, nothing too special. We have like paychecks, which probably would be a good report to kind of get some information from on how small business to medium-sized businesses are doing and how their payroll's holding up and things like that. We also have earnings from Bed Bath & Beyond, I believe on Wednesday, the 8th on Wednesday, along with Walgreens on Thursday before the market opens. So those are the only really ones that kind of came across my board on what could be potentially some movers and things like that. But yeah, I did see that Berkshire's buying Dominion. Yeah, the deal's not supposed to be really finalized until like Q4, if I read that correctly. We can look at that for sure. Like Dominion was showing some really interesting activity. What up, David? Kelly D, yes, Ryan, how you doing, boys? Thank you everyone for coming to the live stream. I know it was a little bit later today, just due to having too much fun out there in the backyard. All right, let's go ahead. I'm gonna put this awesome screen grab away. Should be able to see my charts now. So we're going to be looking here again. The futures up are printing again a little bit over 0.5% here, 21 points. It's still consolidating in this box. We'll know probably more tomorrow coming to Tuesday if we can kind of start breaking above this box. We do have the squeeze on the daily chart indicating potentially propulsion to the upside, but again, anything can happen. This is completely different times. Volatility is still high. Anything can change on a dime. This is just some guidelines that we're looking at here. We start breaking above this box. That's, of course, that's more of the bulls side of things rather than the bears. If the bears want to win, we need to start seeing the volume oscillator and RSI and momentum switching alongside with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average continually going down. All right, looks like we can look at some couple stocks here, boys. Let's see here. We have what's up. Yeah, Buffett buying. Yeah, Buffett's paying like I think it's like $4 billion out of Berkshire's wallet, which is nothing too crazy. I think if I remember right, they have well over $75 billion already in their wallets. Gains MK. Oh, we can do work. Yeah. So this one, the workhorse one, is going to be a very difficult one to kind of give you a technical breakthrough their gains, just because it's a very heavy momentum-driven stock. Between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, it has been really just riding up on this momentum. And volume has continued to kind of uplift it, which is great. Like, this is what a momentum stock does. That being said, can this continue? Can it slow down? Of course it can, but I just don't know when. It was up again nearly 10% on Thursday. This can continue going higher. When you start seeing breaks, which is if it starts breaking or leveling off or whatever, it's gonna happen really fast, and it's gonna start hitting around probably the 8 exponential moving average on the bottom part of it. Oh, they have $140 billion on cash. Yeah. Okay. So they have a lot more than that. I forgot they got out a lot of all of their airline stocks, so they had a lot of cash. So that's the kind of what I can kind of give you there. Like, again, this thing is everything is just screaming, just going to the moon in the sense of. But again, once that jet fuel or that rocket fuel runs out, these oscillators and RSI indicators will start going down pretty dramatically. Wall Street Bets is going crazy about futures being up. Don't give too much attention there, David. Luke, AMD. Yes, we can look at AMD. That's a great ticker. So this is still the kind of one as well. It kind of did fire short this week. You can kind of see here on the indicator. It didn't go. It never closed below my box. So the candle never closed below the box. These 2 days, I was like, oh snap! I have to get out of my position. If this closes below like the $50 $49.95 I had on there, about like it's like, oh shoot! If I have to stick to my rules. If this starts closing below this line, I have to start getting out of some of my positions here. That being said, it never happened, and it did a nice little recovery here. It kind of had a little miniature V shape here, and now kind of just trading sideways here. Still nothing like to write home about, but we're looking for some more potential consolidation, kind of turning these red momentums here on the TTM squeeze to turn them to yellow, and then start seeing the volume oscillator to get above 0 as well, to kind of see that potential test around the $55 in the near run. Yeah, Ryan, AMD is one of my larger positions. Yeah, we'll see how that goes out this week. New highs for SPYs. I don't know about that, Sean. It's gonna take a lot for it to get to no-time highs this week. Sheets, thanks for stopping by. Say hello. What's up, man? I saw a post last week. SPG and WSCs are cutting and eliminate dividends, but they didn't drop. I didn't see that either. I didn't see them cut dividends on those at all. Look at Jets. Jets, like the airline ETF. So this one, again, it had a huge run-up due to the fact of all the new investors kind of buying into it. Everyone just thinking that everything's going to just kind of come back to normal. I don't quite understand what the optimism was. Even though this is like when I think Warren Buffett got out of it at the beginning of May or the end of April or one of these days here, and it just kind of just did a pivot and it just went straight up. And ever since then, it kind of failed here in around the 200-day exponential moving average. Kind of came down, hovered around the 21 for a little bit, kind of came down to the 34, and now just kind of trading sideways. I think that this is going to be somewhat its new trend. Currently, again, it's just kind of just trading sideways. We want to see the 5 and 8 exponential moving average on the daily side there, Shane, to kind of start crossing through the 21 to potentially test and break above the 1836 level for Jets. For the downside, the 34 or the 50 days is going to kind of come in. So the 50 is around like 1564 there for some support on the downside. XLF, yeah, we can look at XLF. That's a good one to kind of look at the banks, since they're one of the first ones coming up with earnings as well this week. Not this week, the following week. So this is kind of looks exactly kind of like the Jets chart, kind of just trading sideways. Had the huge run up, did get above the 200-day exponential moving average, and then kind of came down, bouncing around the 21 and 34, which is the 21 is the yellow EMA and 34 is the orange one. And kind of traded around that. The 50-day kind of came in for the overall support there, kind of giving it some support on the way down. And now we're just trying to have these ticks close above the 21 here, which again is basically above 2350, and start having this 5 and 8 exponential moving average start trading sideways or potentially start curling up. Because you still see the parabolic SAR still on top of it, so still giving it some really down, just keeping that ball underneath water and just really pushing it lower. Let's see here. It does, David. Yep, I think someone just posted. Sold. Ryan sold some of my BA put credit spreads. Put credits. Okay. Yeah, it had a nice run, didn't it? I think I got into some, actually. It's just kind of been trading sideways here a little bit. Same as well with BA. That 34 did kind of come in for some mild support, but we're still seeing that consolidation around the 21. Hasn't really drastically closed below it. It kind of did, but then it kind of rebounded back quite drastically. again, the volume, once this volume oscillator gets above 0, and this momentum starts changing from red to yellow, we could see a very strong upside to a grind up to potentially the 208 and then try to test the 216 level. But again, support to the downside is going to come in around 172 initially for level 1, and then around the 50-day was around 158. D. So we can look at Dominion. This is the stock that I've traded in the past. So this one has just kind of been trading sideways. You can kind of see here the 200-day has come in for some support here. Again, knowing this deal, and I think they're going to put we'll know more on what the overall price is exactly. Did they announce exactly what price they're trying to buy them at? If it's 10 billion? I think they're Warren or Berkshire Hathaway is paying $4 billion in cash, and then they're going to take some debt out of it, and then they're going to take some of that debt back to the shareholders by giving them some buybacks onto the stock. If I read that right, like they're really being super strategic about it and using everything in their power to basically pay next to nothing for this company. That being said, I don't know exactly what share price they're going to be looking at. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at a premium, probably $90 plus potentially. We'll see exactly what comes out tomorrow as we see on how everyone reacts to that. That being said, it didn't click to the top. There we go. So the Fibonacci retracements, it's kind of been not being able to break above the 60 or the $83 level. Again, the parabolic SAR is still kind of holding it down. We'll see what happens tomorrow with this trading, again, with this news just breaking today over the weekend. The 5 and 8 exponential moving average are still trying to, looks like they are really trying to push through the 21. So this could be a pretty strong catalyst for some higher prices in the near term. Again, usually when they get a bid or a takeover bid like this, it usually just jumps up and then stays around 2 or 3% of that target price. A great example of that would be Fit. So once Google said they were going to acquire them, it's just really just been trading in a very tight range and not getting too many drops, and earnings were lackluster because everyone's just like, oh, Google's going to buy them for $7 or whatever it was. And I don't know if that ever went through either, so that's always, it's still kind of like in a waiting game there. Kelly D, thoughts on Twitter? Yeah, we can look at some Twitter. So Twitter, yeah, so I think Twitter was also hit with all the overall Facebook stuff as well, with just companies pulling their ads, everyone just kind of slowly cutting back on their overall spend on social medias and different various places on the internet to get advertisements. That being said, we can start looking here again, the high of 45. So this is really kind of primed for Fibonacci retracement. We can kind of go here. It's failed here. I'll call it a fail at 61.8, and it did click to the top. It's probably going to be more precise. So the 61.8 has really been a strong line of overhead resistance here on Twitter, and with the 200-day or the 200 exponential moving average as well. That being said, it kind of came right through the 50% retracement and the 200-day, kind of hovering around basically the 30.2 percentile move from the previous swing high to low. Looking for, it does have earnings coming up too here. It looks like the 23rd. So, I don't know, what's that, 3 weeks away or something? With the 5 and 8 starting to level off, we could be potentially building a base. But with earnings on the horizon, this could be just kind of sitting on your hands, so we could just potentially come up to like the 50-day around $32 or $31, or just kind of trade between $30 and $33 into earnings, and just kind of seeing on what the catalyst could be from that. That being said, just be mindful that it's still not performing as well as like a Facebook has been, because Facebook made a pretty strong recovery just last week. It was quite phenomenal, actually. Ryan calls on Lisa Su. Yes, fantastic leader. She gets paid a lot of money, but she does a great job. Yeah, David, they are completely crazy, funny, without a doubt. Dive, is any thoughts on Amazon maybe hitting or crossing 3,000 by the end of the week or even tomorrow? Calls before run up to earnings. Yeah, so that's another one that just doesn't really care what's going on in the market and just really been quite crazy. So earnings is not completely confirmed yet, but it looks like it's going to happen around the 7/23. Could have hit 3,000 by then, without a doubt. Heck yeah. So 7/23 would be this earnings right here. So they're saying plus or minus $220 from where it was currently trading on Thursday. That can easily hit 3,000 without a doubt. This thing has just been super outperforming the overall market. Really just been trading between the 5 and 8 and sometimes coming down to the 21 to say hello. But it's just been really just grinding between the 5 and 8 ever since this pandemic, and it's just been dominating and just continue going higher. Can it hit 3,000? Yes. Tomorrow? Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Again, the overall market, the futures are pretty looking pretty great right now, and they're looking really sexy. That's probably not the right word, but between the 5 and 8 and the 21, this has been a really strong move up. Could I buy into it? I can't. It would be breaking my rules again. Hitting an all-time high just on Thursday. This thing could run. The volume oscillator is saying it still could run a little bit. The RSI is really close to the 80 percentile or the 80 point move, which is usually an indication for trading sideways or a potential slight pullback. Yes, this rule can be broken and continue to run. You can kind of see here, it's on the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, it hit the RSI. You can kind of see that little red down there. But this has happened in the past before. It can hit it and then continue to run. Especially with earnings on the horizon, I think this thing could really run without a leash for a while into earnings, without a doubt. But I can't. I wouldn't be able to trade it though, my friend. In MES and MYN now, up over $300 on 2 contracts. Nice, Lewis. That's awesome. It's a REIT, dividend 2.3 is a SPG. Oh, Simon Properties. Okay, yeah. This is basically a retail play, right? So this is the one that you see. Michael, what's that guy's name from The Big Short? Michael Burry, who's a pretty strong. Michael Burry, and then oh my God, what's his name? I just did it. He's the huge investor in Hertz. Lost all his money in the Hertz. That's like $2 billion. Oh my gosh, what is his name? I can't think of it. Oh, this is terrible. Carl Icahn. Carl Icahn is a huge component of this short as well. And I don't know if they're still short again. We'll see once their filings come out for the next quarter. But this one has just been really consolidating here. Again, this is going to be a huge play on the overall economy and how things are going from there. Between the 5 and 8, kind of potentially could cross to the 21. It did kind of, I would say, it closed on the 21, but if you're being precise, it looked like it closed below the 21. The parabolic SAR is still below it, but this is looking like it just wants to trade sideways potentially between the 70 to 64 potentially, if it starts getting some potential boost or some great news with the overall economy. Yes, thank you, Carl Icahn. Yeah, Carl. Funny guy. Okay, looks like my thing just moved again. Hang on, I'm sorry. Keith, AMRS. Let's see here. AMRS. We're looking for this one. Okay, this is not sure what this company does, but this looks like a very interesting chart. Had a huge spike here on something. This is like some kind of drug here, Keith, or something. So this one has been pretty outperforming here. It looks like it's even previously had a lot of issues around the 200-day exponential moving average, kind of breaking out after its quarter, kind of coming down for touch, and then just went skyrocketing for whatever reason, and kind of did a small kind of cup and handle here with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, not really crossing through the 21, really holding the 21 and 34 here for a potential grind higher. Parabolic SER has switched. No squeeze on this indicator, but volume oscillator and RSI are looking strong. Kind of want to do a quick fib here for you. Let me look at this. Swing high to swing low. Looking for a potential target in the near term around 515. If that breaks 515, then 556, and then back to the previous high. Downward support is going to be basically between the $4.15 down to around the $4 limit, which is close to where the 21.34 is, my friend. Piton's going to see a correction. DGY making higher moves. So Piton, that's the bike thing, right? Peloton. Yeah, this thing has just, this is kind of like the Zoom thing. This is just continues just grinding higher. It's a complete play on, again, no gyms are open really. They are open to a certain extent, but no one wants to go in with all those rules and everything, and they just want to get a great workout and just get in and out. And I think this is what people who have the means are just getting a Peloton, and their subscriptions are probably just going through the roof. That being said, it's really just been holding the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, the key ingredients for a heavy momentum stock. That being said, I don't see any earnings on the horizon. This looks like the RSI and volume oscillator is just kind of trading sideways, but it's still kind of grinding higher, indicating where this could potentially start trading sideways some more, potentially could see some lower prices. That being said, this is going to be a very hard one to kind of look into due to the fact of it's just been consistently running here. Because we traded this back in the day when it hit like 25 or something like that, and we got it out of it like a 30 something. Like, it was quite remarkable little run there. But again, with the overall virus, this really just completely took off. Yeah, there's nothing. This is going to be a really difficult one to kind of give you a fib breakdown. Let me see. Yeah, for the previous swing high to swing low before the overall run, the initial price target was around 68. But again, that's kind of a far off number for it. But again, anything can happen with this stock without a doubt, because this thing has run quite substantially in the past. If you're in it, you're doing great. You just need to have this 5 and 8 exponential moving average continue just kind of grinding higher to get those higher prices. And I think if things start going bad or things start selling off, you start seeing the ticks start to close below the 5 and the 8 exponential moving average. Potentially first line of support, which has happened in the past, is around the 21. So your support line's around 53. So I kind of want to put that out there for a marker for myself there. But a great looking stock. Markets are in rally mode, Lewis. Yeah, it could be. I like to see, again, volume's not that great in the futures, especially at this time frame. I want to see when the overall market opens up at 9:30. That's when you start seeing the true, not exactly at 9:30 because it's complete S hits the fan kind of scenario a lot of the times, but it's usually at 10:30, 11 o'clock you start seeing on what people actually think of the market. Patel, thoughts on NVIDIA 400 call 710? My man, that's that is I love NVIDIA since I'm pretty heavily in AMD. As you hinted, I think $400 is within its price target without a doubt. The volume oscillator and RSI are not nowhere near its highs. I think it just wants to grind higher again to get that $400. Do I think it's going to happen in like a couple days? That's really risky for me. I would give myself a little bit longer time horizon on those options, because if it doesn't happen or something bad happens just in like tomorrow or Tuesday, that can really just bring the overall market lower down to like the 367 for this stock, and just really just get you ripped out of those options again. It's going to be a pretty high premium if you buy those $400 strike price calls for the 10th, I believe. I think you said the 10th, right? Yeah, we're looking at, there's basically $200 a pop. That's not crazy, but those are out of the money calls here, and you're not giving yourself that much time on those. Bobby, Yeah, we look at some draft. DraftKings. Again, one of my worst trades this year. We're still in this puppy. It's been a rough ride. Again, if you haven't heard the story, I can give you some story time. I thought I got out of it, and my calls didn't execute, or I didn't hit confirm or send. And I was in them, and then like 2 or 3 days later, I'm like, what the heck? Why is this still on my portfolio? I got out of this, and yeah, that's when I found out I was an idiot, and that's what happened. And now I got out of some of it on this further tick down, but now I have a small position in. It's just kind of trading sideways. Kind of rolled those further out, I believe, into August. Looking between the 5 and 8 exponential average to kind of trade sideways. I really want this to kind of consolidate in this box here, and it can, if as long as it stays in the box, I'm happy. Again, it starts breaking above 35 or it breaks below the $30 level. I kind of want to get out of the position overall, because the thing kind of needs to really prove itself to me now if it wants to give me money or just continue to just bleed me dry. So this one, I really need to see this above the 21 level, so 36 potentially. But with this being said, the volume honestly on the daily chart is still kind of lower. We really need to look at a different time frame, like a 4-hour chart, to give you a better perspective on this. There is a squeeze indicating here, so this could be potential higher prices. But since it's below the 21, I'm kind of a little concerned on where this could fire the squeeze. So the volume and RSI really need to peak up, and this momentum needs to turn positive with some strength coming in tomorrow to kind of break up and around this 200-day exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart. Microsoft, yeah, we can look at some Microsoft. Let's go back to daily, MSFT. Yes, this has been a beautiful stock as well. So they have earnings as well, not completely confirmed yet, on the 16th. So that's just around the corner, actually. So that is not Thursday of next week. It's the following Thursday. So you are looking for, or you want to do a run-up to earnings. Okay, so just this week. If you're doing this week again, like I just talked to, who was it, Lewis, who did NVIDIA, you're not really giving yourself that much time to get yourself right. You're basically giving yourself a very marginal percentage to get it right away, or you're trying, because again, a lot of things can happen in the overall market. A plane can crash, something bad can happen in any part of the world and spook the markets. And those 2 or 3 days that it's down, it can really just tear your call option apart. So that's why I always tell people to kind of give yourself time to have it play out. I understand that the delta and the overall excitement of having a call that's expiring this week is very lucrative, because if it moves, man, that is some beautiful profits there. But I'm a little bit more conservative than that, so I'd be very mindful. I would be looking probably to after earnings for this particular call to give yourself a little bit more time if you're overall bullish on the Microsoft company. Scotty, Solo. I think we talked about this one last time. So yeah, this one, yeah, I don't even know what this does. It's a very heavy momentum driven, because this volume is just, it's just crazy. Like, this volume is astronomical compared to what's going on. Looking for some potential support to the downside of $1.80. Again, this is not a official penny or pink sheet stock, but I couldn't trade this due to the fact of just this crazy momentum and swings, things like that. I like some things with a little bit more consistency and pattern. You can kind of see a pattern here with the 21. If it starts coming down to 21, potential support. But to the upside, I couldn't give you a price, because it's going to be pretty dramatic here. We can kind of see here, it looks like the fib here is going to run on the 6-1. Okay, I was going to hit the 1272 extension, but potentially it could hit the 618 to $3.83. So just be mindful, be careful with that one, Scotty. That can move really fast. Stock up 101. Yeah, we kind of talked about Microsoft for potential earnings play. I like the potential run up to it. Can't run to buy bonds. I love, You're not gonna call me a boomer today, Ryan. Micron Technology thoughts could have gone to get 60 next week. Thoughts, calls on it. So AMD, I love AMD, so I think Ryan and I both in the chat here are much love Lisa Su, which is CEO. Looking for the potential run up. We kind of talked about this in this little invisible box here, kind of trading in around this box for some time. We really need to see the 5 and 8 exponential moving average start crossing through the 21 and getting the ticks above the 21 and potentially the 34. Since the parabolic SAR is still kind of giving it some push down effect here, it's really not performing very well. It does have earnings coming up here on, looks like the 28th, so on the end of the month. Again, I'm bullish on it, but anything can happen. Being very thoughtful of this, potentially start seeing the 5 and 8 crossing above the 21. But if it starts breaking below the $50 price target, the next line is basically around 46 for some support. I don't see anything drastic like that happening before earnings. Again, unless something happens to the overall market, then that could really drastically change the projection of this or the overall thesis of what I have on this stock. Just really looking forward to kind of continuously grinding higher and proving itself to me. Ryan, MU calls. Yeah, MU, didn't they just have earnings? And it was good, but then I sort of saw it kind of just drop, right? Okay, this is the earnings, great, and then kind of back down to 21. I don't know what happened there or what they say. I wasn't really too in tune with that. But that being said, the short term, it really came up to the 618, kind of failed here, and then came back down to the 21. So potentially with this, what price target are you in, you said? Balls deep and put credit spreads for 710. I'm guessing your put credit spreads around like $50 or $48, or they're higher. I'm pretty sure, again, with the overall market, this could be potentially kind of drag this higher. But if it starts breaking the 21 and 34, which it has, if it starts closing below the 34, which is around the $49 limit, it could be potentially coming back down to the 200-day. But this thing has looking like, just like AMD, kind of performing in this box kind of here, just kind of going up and down. Disney, 710, 110 put. I want to short Disney, eh? So I think Disney is opening up the 17th, correct? Or unless they have changed that due to some of the spikes within testing and the virus. This kind of been, it's like a lack of a better word, it's kind of somewhat falling lower here. I'm going to draw these little make-believe lines for you. I love make-believe lines. Why is this not clicking? There we go. And then we can go here. Come on now. Kind of a falling wedge, or what we call a cheesecake. This is a delicious cheesecake here. We can do a lemon curd. We can do cherries on top. We can do key lime pie, actually. You know, key lime pie sounds really good right now. So the key lime pie wedge pattern here, it's kind of just consolidating down here. We do see that it's still, the 5 and 8 have crossed through the 21. The 50-day kind of didn't really come in for support. Kind of bounced about around this level. We really need to see the 5 and 8 exponential moving average start trading sideways for a potential kick higher here. Since the parabolic SAR is still pushing it down, if we start breaking above the 116, we could be seeing some higher prices. To the short side, maybe, again, if you're trying to play with more of the virus outbreaks. But again, it's hard for me to go short on Disney because it's one of my larger positions in my longer term portfolio. With the 5 and 8, again, just trying to trading sideways, and you're seeing the parabolic SARs kind of pushing it down. The momentum has turned yellow for 2 days, which is kind of good, but nothing to write home about. RSI is just really flat at 45.50. Volume oscillator is still negative. So if you wanted to play it really much on a tight leash, if it starts breaking, if you're shorting it around 115, for a potential play down to, I don't know, 111, I think you said. We could potentially see those prices come through, but you're not giving you're trading it in a very short period of time. And for me, I can't see it going short, even though I would like to see on how it opens up Monday or Tuesday before I enter that short to kind of see what the how the pool's feeling. They're engineering yeast to make chemical. Okay. Kevin the Tan Man. Take a look at Win, please. Nice upward movement the past few weeks. Oh shoot. This mice thing just went all haywire. Hang on. Who was it who just talked about Win? There we go. WYNN. So Win was kind of like a one that we looked about a little bit before. We looked at they could potentially come down to 64. Really didn't get down to that limit there. That's where these Fibonacci extensions kind of came in here. Looking for that movement, potentially come down to that $64 limit. Hasn't really kind of, wouldn't say bounced off another imaginary level there, probably from some kind of extension as well. But with the 5 and 8 kind of trading sideways a little bit, we have the momentum switch. RSI is kind of trading sideways. Volume oscillator looks like it really wants to break out, so this is a really good indication here. If this can break above the $80 limit, this would be switching the parabolic SAR to make it underneath the overall ticks. That could give it momentum start breaking above the 81 limit. I'm going to add this to my list to kind of watch this week and so forth. I'm going to put some targets here, get some alerts going, to see what happens here. Playing it really loosey-goosey. Potentially, if it starts breaking above the 21 here, we could be, there's no squeeze indication, there's no earnings on the horizon, so there isn't really a huge catalyst that we know of unless we have inside knowledge of what's going on. But it's a great little stock, yeah. Ryan, XRX strong L shape recovery. What do you got for me today? I never heard of XRX. Oh, okay. Yeah, this thing is, I think you talked about this one before. This thing is just, this is where you sell like call spreads on this, credit spreads on this one. This is not going anywhere, I don't think. Really performing in this box here. I'm just going to extend this back out just a little bit more to kind of give you what the underlying thing, the thesis is going on here. It has not really been broken above the 21. If it has, it came straight back down and just been trading sideways and going lower here, hitting, this is all-time lows or near all-time lows at like $14, having a lot of pressure of not getting above that 21 again. Not seeing it some really crazy upside potential unless someone wants to come in and buy it. I think was kind of the rumor, Ryan, that HP or them were gonna kind of merge or something like that. Yeah. Stock up 101. We did Microsoft into earnings. I like it. Thinking Kanye is serious about president could remotely move the markets. No, I'm not going to put any thought into that. That's just funny. Love the analysis. Check out BYND if you have time. Yes, so BYND, we love it. We bought the dip. Kind of hit that 50-day exponential moving average. 50-day simple moving average, and we bought it around 27, I believe. Stock for long-term holdings because we believe in the overall trend of people getting away from a lot of the meat stuff and more companies and people choosing the, doing air quotes, healthier option of being a plant-based meats. With this one, really strong around the 50-day simple moving average if it comes back down here for some support. If it comes back down to the 200-day, I would like to add to this. My next levels, again, if it really comes down to the market pullback, that's going to be around the 112s or 112 for you people. And then for the upside, really in the short term is basically looking for about the 165 limit. But the 5 and 8 kind of start trading sideways. We need to start seeing that kind of curl up. We really need to see the TTM squeeze go from red to yellow and the volume oscillator start getting above the 20-ish point move, and the RSI as well start kind of waking up and getting above 50 as well. So be very mindful of that. I really do enjoy this stock, and I think it's a great term hold. That's why I bought it. Yeah, 2020 is just going to be a meme, yeah. OSTK. Overstock. Ooh. I traded this. Didn't Overstock get into, like, they were talking about, like, some kind of Bitcoin stuff way back when? This thing used to move like crazy. Yes, this is it right here. This is Overstock's Bitcoin days. So Overstock was talking that they're going to go into, like, cryptocurrencies, and it just went gangbusters. I remember trading this thing, buying calls, and just buying the 8 exponential moving average calls, and just been grinding higher. That was beautiful days in that stock. This one is again with the overall pandemic, everyone kind of staying home. The 5 and 8 exponential moving average has been trading sideways. Been trading in between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. The 21 been a really strong sign of its upward support again, hitting an all-time high just last week. This is that's really difficult to buy that up there. I kind of want to do a previous swing high to the low. We can kind of get some numbers here. Looking for initial targets around $37.01 if you want to be a scientist. Be precise about it, for some upside potential. Downside, I'm just going to call it around between the 21 and 8. So I'm going to call it around like 27 to 26 for some downside support. But yeah, this thing has been a rocket ship. RSI looking like it wants to peak here soon, and volume oscillator is very close as well. So be careful with that one. Microsoft YOLO. I don't know what you mean by Microsoft YOLO. I think Microsoft's a pretty well established company, but with this one, we're just looking again with earnings on the horizon, basically within like 2 weeks. Some potential price targets we can look at. We're going to do a deep dive, a video this week more for sure, on seeing what's going on there. Potentially targets around 226. Again, with earnings on the horizon, the 17th, they're only sitting at like a $10 move. I think that might be a little bit more extension on that potentially. Again, $10 from here would kind of put it a little bit lower below this potential move up here, but I think if it continues to grind higher, you can easily get to that limit as well. Puts on Joe Biden. You can buy puts on Joe Biden. Yes, Ryan. I forget the website. I should look that up next time, and I'll put it in the link. So you can buy stock on whoever. You can buy stocks on elections. There's a certain limit you can do, but you can still say that you shorted the president, or potential president, or vice president. Microsoft, yeah, I love Microsoft. Like, the 21 is going to be a really strong sign of your support there on the way down if it does get down that level. But again, with the overall market as of right now, we're looking at the plus 27 here on the S&P futures, Nasdaq's 120. Really strong signs, but again, anything can change come tomorrow, or how people, again, once the real volume comes in here in the futures, and with the overall market being open. SPY 315, yes, I think that could happen without a doubt. Kelly D, long plug. I think you talked about that one last time, didn't you? Yeah, so it's hitting around near the $10 limit. I want to see what this is. I think this is going to be super out of my range here. Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one without a doubt. This thing has, again, a super high momentum stock. I think you told me what happened last time and what they're doing. But the RSI is really overextended, volume zone oscillator as well. But this is just a the right formula for momentum, and this can continue going until the music stops, which I don't think anyone knows because no one has a crystal ball. But just be mindful that this could easily grind higher to $11, potentially even higher. But if something changes, then that's bye-bye to a lot of this, and potentially first line of support is going to be probably around the 8, around $7.90, and then potentially down to like the 650 level. Rand, thank you. I'm just doing my analysis. I appreciate it. Thank you. Chichi. Can you do Allstate, please? AALL. Allstate. So this kind of is very clear here. Again, I like to draw these new imaginary boxes to kind of give a little bit more perspective. It's really just been trading in this imaginary box here. Again, the ticks are below the 21. The 5 and 8 is also below 21. We're below the 200-day exponential moving average, below the 50-day. So nothing really positive here in the chart, unless they come out for a cure for the virus. But I don't think Allstate can do that. Who knows? I'm not going to say no. I don't know what they have capability of. That being said, here it looks like, again, that 200-day kind of lines up with the 618 percentile move from the Fibonacci retracement. We're kind of hovering, again, some support on the 50% retracement from the previous swing high to low. So this is a really good potential if you want to get into it. So if you want to buy in for the long run, or if you want to buy in for a quick trade for potentially from buying around 95 for potential push to 102, I can see that happening. But it really needs to prove itself some more because, again, momentum sucks. RSI is terrible. Not terrible, just blah. And the volume oscillator is not looking pretty at all as well. So those indicators really could potentially start trading sideways or even going lower unless some things start waking up and printing higher. Did you already do AMD, Chris? We did AMD, Chris. So AMD is kind of just trading in the box. We'll do a quick little summary for you. Thanks for joining. Really just trading in between the $58 to $50 price range. Looking for this consolidating, potentially a price to get higher above the $53 limit. But that 5 and 8 really need to coming in to start curling higher. The momentum needs to switch from red to yellow. RSI needs to wake up to go higher, and the volume zone oscillator needs to start going positive for us to get any kind of movement going there. Scotty EV. Look at EV. So this is an interesting one. This is probably going to come right down to the 50% retracement here. Yeah, look at that. Bada bing, bada boom. So right on the 50% retracement, kind of came up to the 618 around the 200-day. Kind of kind of said hello, got some air, then came back down. The 5 and 8 exponential moves crossed over. Now kind of trading sideways. The 50-day has kind of come in for some support here to kind of grind higher. Potentially, if this momentum can switch from red to yellow, and the volume zone oscillator, which is in positive, which is good, just barely, it's positive though. This could be a potential push higher, but again, that 200-day is going to be a lot of resistance on the way up around the $40 price target. That being said, I just need to. Looks like it could consolidate around $37 to see once these couple more indicators start getting positive. This could be a nice move higher. Alan, thank you for the $2. Thoughts on Starbucks? Any thoughts on the week ahead? Yes, we can take a look at that. It's S-Bucks. Thank you again for the $2. So Starbucks, like we talked about this, I think we did this last time, Alan, I believe. So again, we had that little red line here. We made it really thick, and it needed to break above that. And we saw that it did kind of break above it this week. The momentum has switched slightly between the yellow line, so from red to yellow. Nothing too crazy, like red and yellow doesn't kill a fellow. It just kind of actually is the opposite. It actually is a good sign if you're a bear. If you're if you're a bull. If you're a bear, that will kill you. Again, it kind of tried to break above the 5 and 8, failed here at the 21. So we really need to see some higher prices above the 75.38 limit. Since the parabolic SAR is fairly close as well to the 21 here, we can see that it really needs to get these propulsion dots to switch to the bottom and really get this momentum moving higher. The volume zone oscillator is, I'm going to call it, it's basically just flat. It's at 1.1, and RSI is flat as well. This thing, it looks like it just wants to kind of trade sideways because it looks like some previous lows here around 54 to 53 here in the previous couple weeks ago. looking for some consolidation here, potentially, again, if the overall market can start turning positive, I think this would be a great indication for some higher prices. But if it starts breaking below some price targets at like 72-ish, I would just start cutting some of my potential, some of my stock or whatever you're looking at there, my friend. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Alan. Let's see here. Yes, I'm using Thinkorswim for my charting as well. Yep. Looks like a lot more people are coming in here. Thanks everyone for joining. I really do appreciate it. Looks like, yeah, Tesla. Yeah, Tesla has just been, whew. ServiceNow. Oh yeah, that's a great stock. Greg B. What do you think of QCOM? I like that actually. That is a great. I actually was looking at that just. You can see here. I was looking at this just this afternoon. This thing is performing really well. It's actually. Let me add that to my list up here for my long list. So for QCOM, the 5 and 8 exponential ramp has been strong. The 21 has been on upward support. It is in two parts of a squeeze here. The RSI is kind of printing high. The volume zone oscillator is positive, so that's looking great as well. That being said, this thing could easily go higher. This is, I want to say, I think a lot of people are just playing this due to the fact of the 5G network being built out, and we start getting more, I think, the people getting access to 5G networks and just seeing on how much of a difference like 4G and 5G. It's not like a 10% difference. It's like a tenfold difference, where a lot of people could physically run their home network from their phone, just tethered in their phone. That's just the amount of speeds that these 5G networks can really perform. It's quite astonishing. So I want to do a swig here, a little sweet swig here. So it looks like the broke above the 78.6, so it's around $88. So that is really key. Like, I like this a lot. Guys. So this is going to be a sign for if it starts breaking below this target here, which is the 21 here as well. Did I just do that wrong? There it goes. Okay, it just took a little bit longer to add there. With QCOM, again, it looks like it wants to continue going higher, but again, anything can happen. Looks like it has some kind of earnings coming out end of the month, potentially a nice earnings run, again, playing on the overall Internet of Things, and particular strictly on 5G networks. With the 5 and 8 kind of start trading higher, the 21's going higher, so everything's nicely stacked. You got the 5, 8, 21, 34, 15, 200. Very nicely stacked. We just need to start seeing some volume oscillator going higher, same with the RSI, and see the squeeze potentially print higher as well. I think this could easily break above 93. Not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but I think this can easily just grind higher to that limit. We already covered AMD. AMD, we're just kind of trading higher, looking for potentially $53 or higher. But if it starts breaking below 50, we need to kind of be very cutting that and potentially rolling things. Thoughts on BLNK? Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. This looks pretty interesting. Like, yeah, this looks fantastic, but I can't add too much of this because this volume is just astronomical. I would almost call this like too much. This is clearly a FOMO trade, but with the 5 and 8 exponential moving, just continue driving this higher. So if anything, like you see a stock going basically from just trading sideways and then just going up to the moon, it's 100% a FOMO trade. That being said, let's go to the trading of this, of the 5 and 8 is just going to be the momentum-driven formula for these FOMO trades. So if it starts breaking below these targets, it's a potential buy, keeping on a short leash, but if it does it can really break and really just come crashing to the ground really fast. So just be very careful with these very fast-driven stocks there. It's not a buy for me. I'm sorry. I need FB over. I need Facebook over 240. So Facebook has had a fantastic recovery. It's been pretty phenomenal. We bought it around, I think, 217, something like that. Kind of went down the following day, but then just made a super strong recovery to continue going higher, really breaking above the 21 exponential moving average, kind of hitting the parabolic SAR 240 limit where you're talking about yikes. Can that break that? Yes, but the only thing is right now it's kind of having a kind of a negative tone to it due to the fact of all the negative stuff that's going on in the world, and they're still having issues with their ads. But Facebook, I think, will recover from this without a doubt, because there's not really too much out in the world that can really compete with this. The 5 and 8 have also crossed through the 21 OL2 for some higher prices here, so I think we could kind of consolidate here a little bit, potentially kind of coming back to 230 as well. But if we start seeing some more negative press come out, that could in the short term push it back down to the 50-day, potentially even to the 200, to see how things work out. What's up, Anthony? Thank you for joining. That's Anthony from Malone Money Mindset. Fantastic fundamental investor. Definitely check him out, guys. Yeah, it's been a crazy week for a lot of these really small cap stocks. Let's see what else we got. I'll name my first son Elon. You will, Ryan? Okay. You're going to get that in writing. eBay 60 to 62 next week. Those are always hard calls, my friend. Like, I can't tell you what's going to happen in a week. I can give you a little bit more of an insight. Things can happen really fast, without a doubt. Because again, within a week, a lot of bad things can happen too, and it really drives things down. $60 to $62. So let's see what the options are saying. I can tell you what the options are saying. So they're saying $2 plus or minus from here. That would not put it to $60. But again, if eBay comes out and they say, hey, everyone can pick a free item from the website, go for it, then I think their stock would go through the roof. Or I'd probably not, I don't know. I'm just making up some, like, a crazy idea of what could happen. 60 to 62 is a little bit rambunctious, as they would say, for those higher, for potential prices. But that being said, I'm not going to be the one to throw cold water on this, because it's been really trading very well between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and just been performing extremely well, just climbing up that ladder. It's not even a ladder. It's like it's straight up ladder. It's a straight up in the sky, really. That being said, if it starts breaking below the 51 to potentially support around $50 on the way down, first level, RSI level has already been reached as well. But again, that has happened before, and this kind of just traded sideways to kind of let things cool down, let some moving averages kind of catch up, and then continue to print higher. Taylor NIO calls. I can't. And it was an INO. That's the Chinese company, right? That's right. Yeah. No, this. Oh no. Okay, this is a different one. I was thinking NIO. Okay. Yeah, it's someone else said NIO. We can look at that as well. So this one looks absolutely insane. This is very much FOMO. Coming in, some kind of announcement of some, again, looks like it's a pharmaceutical company. Again, someone had some data, someone had some news, really just took off. Fantastic. Now coming back to the 21, potential first line of support, potentially, if no other good news comes out, this could potentially go lower. As of right now, the parabolic SAR switched to the top, so this really needs to kind of kick itself into gear to kind of prove itself if it wants to go to some higher prices. Potentially with the 5 and 8 kind of falling here, it really needs to start showing itself with the volume oscillators kicking higher, same with the RSI. So be very careful with this one. This looks pretty insane. NIO, that's the other one. That's the Chinese Tesla, as you can say. So this one's just been performing really well. So anything within the EV market has just been doing completely just doing well, even though their products could be questionable. Their CEO is just a salesman. They're just not really listing the reserves on their trucks, and they're not talking. They don't even have a factory yet. Can you guess what company I'm talking about? Anywho, that was a little jokey joke. But with NIO, this has been crazy. This is again the FOMO trade here with this huge volume coming in just in the end of last week. Again, I think due to the fact of how Tesla's been performing, again Tesla being the peak of the standard, the class, the number one performer in the market for EVs and alternative energy cars, and just the other ones kind of following in its wake. And I think NIO is just likely just like that. That is basically something like I can't trade this honestly because the momentum is just driven so high here right now between the 5 and 8 and just gapping up just from Wednesday, or it was Wednesday into Thursday, hitting an all-time high. So we can kind of look here on a weekly chart. This has happened before. Not saying this is going to come crashing down and failing, but I want to kind of give you some perspective here from the previous swing high to swing low here on the weekly chart. Let's put this back down to the daily. It broke of its 618. That's great. Next line of target is $11.11. Since it has literally skyrocketed higher, basically like $2.50 within a day. Again, I don't follow this company very well, the fundamentals. I'm just looking at strictly the chart. It's kind of I want to say a red flag. This can continue going higher without a doubt. The momentum can really be driven. It's still considered to an air quotes, a cheap stock. By cheap, I mean people just look at it, oh, it's only $10. What can I lose? Yeah, you can lose all your $10, but people look at it like, oh, it's just $10. I can just swing some here and just go for the moon. I think that trade is still somewhat intact for people who think like that until this thing kind of just starts turning red and starts failing at a certain limit and really just coming back down to earth. But we'll I don't know. I can't give you too much upside resistance. It's going to be around 11 basically initially. Downside support is going to kind of come in around basically $7 and then 21 exponential moving average, which is around the $6.85 there. Target. Yeah, we look at Target. I like Target. So this is kind of one we've been looking at as well. So this is kind of an R radar. We really had this in between the squeeze here. Squeeze has been on for quite some time here. Really kind of making this really incurrent, like rubber bandish kind of really tight momentum driven here. Potentially for a break above 21 or break down to 115 here. The squeeze again has been such a long period of time, basically 2 weeks. This has happened before over here, and it really just dropped lower, but then earnings came out and is what skyrocketed. I don't know. This is going to be a very tough one. You got to keep it on somewhat of a short leash. But since a lot of things are just kind of lining up for a potential break higher, the volume zone oscillator is positive. RSI is doing pretty well. If we look at previously over here, the volume zone oscillator wasn't doing that great, and things were kind of just really little blah. But I just need you to be careful on this without a doubt. It's really just trading in this range. I can draw a little box in this range here, and kind of just you can sell some puts potentially if it gets down to this limit here, but we'll see what happens. We're not in it. I would like to be in it, but some of my rules won't allow it right now due to the fact of it's really just kind of a question mark for a lot of retails. I think they're going to be doing great afterwards, but I think depending on how things are closing across the country, I don't see a lot of people performing very well within that. Let's see what else we got here. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of people. Thank you for everyone for joining. Greatly appreciate it. I thank you so much. We did cover that SHLL. I have nothing to add to SHLL. It's a clear momentum stock. If it starts breaking below that's 5 and 8 exponential moving average, it can go down pretty fast. Jay Taylor, can we look at Uber? Yeah, we look at Uber. So Uber kind of came up on a lot of some of the live streams last week as well, regarding on a potential short. Again, with the overall economy and things, I think it could start turning around. That being said, the 5 and 8 exponential moving average really just kind of needs to start breaking above it. It's trying. Sorry, gotta drink some water. It's really trying to get above the 21 here. The past couple weeks, it's kind of failed here. And once it broke the 200-day exponential moving average, it's kind of just failed here. Kind of consolidating sideways here. It really needs something to kind of kick higher. I'm not seeing any earnings on the horizon or anything like that. The momentum's trying to switch. Volume zone oscillators kind of blah. Same with RSI. With the overall market going higher potentially next week, we could see some movement in this stock, but I really wouldn't want to touch this honestly with a 10-foot pole. I think there's some other better performers out there as well. It really needs to perform itself because it's between the 21 and 200, so around $32.70 down to $32. It needs to really break here, but this has been a lot of overhead resistance in the past for it. Can you look at Tesla? Yeah, we can look at some Tesla. Okie dokie. So Tesla, as everyone knows, has just been completely doing fantastic and literally just going gangbusters due to the overall movement of its how many cars are selling, how many people, how many new, basically just killing the car market. And though it's not even a car company, a lot of people look at it, it's more of a technology company that makes cars due to the fact of their solar panels, due to their cars, due to just the way they're integrated on just trying to make a better environment, doing air quotes. So Uber is buying Postmates, or I thought they were trying to put a bid in for that other company. Was it Postmates they were trying to buy? I think it's a great little buy, but I wouldn't be able, I don't know. I just don't know too much about it. So back to Tesla again. Earnings coming up pretty close. I had this box out before this huge move. I had this box out here for potential movement price targets and what the markets were saying, or what the market makers were projecting for that options for earnings. Now I have to readjust this and go back to what we're looking at here. So again, earnings is not completely confirmed, so they're saying the 22nd of this month, so we're going to be looking at the 24th, so the plus or minus $186 where we're currently at. So 186 is basically done up to 1400. Yeah, so yeah, that's quite a bit up there. So I need to kind of go So basically kind of just move this in this direction here and kind of give it a potential price target or an arena for it to play in. Again, this thing has just been completely gangbusters. We bought it around, we sold some puts here around the 940 limit. They literally printed us money the next 2 or 3 days later, basically getting all the credit back to like 95% within a day. Was really great. It's been performing very well. Again, first price target we're looking at is around $13.57. I know that sounds crazy for a stock, but since this literally has gapped up from like 11.21 down up to 12.28, this has just been going crazy. I can't even tell you this. Like RSI is about to hit at the overbought, so this could potentially make this trade sideways. With earnings on the horizon, I think this could be trade sideways for a couple days, or even go higher again. and waiting for some of these moving averages to kind of catch up with it, it's gonna be quite impressive to see what happens here. Again, if you don't know anything, we're a long-term holder of Tesla, and we just kind of sell puts and calls in around our core position in Tesla. So Tesla, it's just been outperforming, just doing very well. Mindu, ABBV, yes, ABV. This is one we owned for a little bit, traded it around the 21. We bought this in, we bought it around $80, $90, sold it when it hit, I think it was down, around 97. Just little trades here that I like to do to kind of keep myself entertained. With this one, I think this could easily hit $100 without a doubt. Again, earnings are coming up as well on the 24th. This thing has been performing very well with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and the 21 really being a strong line of support there. So potential upside, we can kind of do a fib here. Looks like it kind of broke so it's going to have to go to the 172. What am I doing here? No, shoot. Fat fingers today. Fat fingers, there we go. So we have to go to the 172, which is around 107 for potential price target for the short to near term, meaning within the next couple weeks. So the earnings was the 20 thing. They're saying plus or minus $5 where we're currently looking at. So they can easily potentially drive this up to that in the next 2 or 3 weeks to around that 107 if everything kind of goes great. Ryan, SPY 420, why not? Like, just keep going. Yeah. All right, let's get a couple more here. We did NVIDIA already, my friend. NVIDIA has just been grinding higher. $400 is basically in grasp and so forth. TJX, another retailer. Yeah, that's an interesting one. A lot of retailers just kind of been performing a little blah with the 5 and 8 kind of exponential moving average kind of start curling higher again, which is a great sign here. You have the red to yellow switch here for the TTM squeeze. Potentially didn't close above the 21. We need to see the 5 and 8 exponential moving average to kind of start crossing through the 21, and really need to see the ticks kind of break above the 53 limit here. And we're going to put an alert out there. Right there, the parabolic SAR is also switch, was a great sign here. Looking for potentially, it starts breaking below the 51-ish limit. Could be potential like little fake out. That being said, really want to see this price above around 53. UVXY, I don't trade that, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I'm not going to trade those different volatility things, because those are just made for very short-term trades. Those aren't really made for like investing. These things just kind of just grind lower. Can it pop higher? Yes. Again, if volatility comes back heavily into the market, this thing can go pretty high. I think we've kind of seen the max of it just this year already. That's pretty astonishing. But you can kind of see here on the weekly chart, it's just literally doesn't continue going downtrend. You really have to get your timing right on UVXY without a doubt. So, yeah. You can stop spamming it now too. Thank you. Ryan, penny stocks, you might as well be trading tankers, bro. Yeah, I can't, no tankers there. We're still short NAT long term. What was that, Greg? Net. Yes, net. That's a great one. So this is one that we were looking at as well, again, playing with the overall downtrend or the overall virus and people needing getting into different various platforms, internet protection, all that kind of stuff. We see that the 5 and 8 extra moving average has been very strong. We're seeing some consolidation sometimes around the 21, but then continue growing higher. I think this is a very much a great long-term story. That being said, it's kind of showing some trading sideways here. There's no squeeze indication here. There's no warning signs yet. The volume zone oscillator is kind of zero, but the RSI is high as well, which is kind of a strange scenario with the stock here. If the RSI start dipping lower, we could be seeing some potential support again around 33 here. Potentially would like to snag some up there. You kind of see I have an alert around 30. Need to kind of move that up just slightly. So around this potential target, maybe potentially see it to eat some up there. Etsy, yeah, we can look at some Etsy. So Etsy is the new mass manufacturer for face masks, and they have just been completely just grinding higher. On top of that, people finding out new ways to make money, new ways to explore more made items. That being said, with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, it's really been a 5 exponential moving average in the last 2 weeks. It's just been continued grinding higher, performing extremely well here, hitting an all-time high just the last on Thursday at $313. This thing is just performing super well. I'm gonna do let me do a fib here. This is gonna come in. Yeah, look at that. The 2618 really kind of hit that around the 212 for a potential slowdown there. Since this has been so extended higher, it's going to be very difficult to kind of give you some overhead resistance. Again, this on the way down support is going to kind of come in between the 5 initially. So I'm just going to call it the 8, so around 105, and then some stronger support around the 21. On the way down. We did see the 34 kind of come in a little bit. So we can kind of see this kind of trade sideways a little bit. You see the RSI also has hit on the red side, so this means is overbought, meaning that is very heavy. But again, this could be a false sign as well. On top of other things, we have to look at the story of what Etsy's doing. This could just easily just continue growing higher, so be mindful of that. Yeah, Fastly, that's another one I just can't really get my hands around. This is, again, just looking at Etsy, those 5 and 8 exponential moving average. Again, a lot of these stocks that we're talking about here, a lot of people are talking about, are these very fast momentum driven stocks. And any kind of momentum driven stock, that 5 and 8 exponential moving average is your key zone on that movement continue going higher. We start seeing the 5 and 8 start failing. You see the 5 and 8 start kind of trading sideways. There could be a potential taking a break and kind of waiting for the longer term moving averages to kind of catch up with it. Or if it starts breaking down drastically, the 21 is really going to come in for some ongoing support. But with this one, nothing to really write. It looks like it wants to continue going higher. Potentially take a break. Just be mindful of those moving averages there. Ryan, my man, $2. Thank you. TMO to the moon on the rocket ships. Thermo Fisher Scientific. So what are they? I've read about this company before. They're like a diagnostics company, Ryan. They're really heavy into the diagnostics of things, and they help. I think, but this chart looks super strong again, basically on the tails of this overall virus of everything. It's been holding the 21 fairly well, kind of hitting the 50-day on a couple days here, hitting an all-time high just last Thursday, performing super well at $370. Let me look here on the weekly side. Ooh, this has been fantastic. Oh, you do a lot of business with TLMO? Okay. So this thing has just been great. Look at, are you long-term in this, Ryan? This looks actually fantastic. Oh, they sell medical testing. Okay. So this thing looks fantastic, dude. This was a hell of a buying opportunity at this $280 limit here. Whew. This thing is on the weekly chart. This has been holding the 21 and 34 so well. That's a great looking chart, Ryan. That's sexy. Thanks, man. Thanks for the $2 as well. Thank you. That's a good company there. Thanks from Chad for all you do. You're welcome. I don't know who's Chad. Thank you, Clint Rogers. How do you pull up the 21 daily average for TOS? On the average on TOS. So you just add to go to the studies tab, this little beaker here. You hit edit studies, and you can add things. So the moving average is here. So I have the moving average exponential. It's a 21. So to edit that, you hit this little gear icon, and you go in here and you switch it to 21 to the close. Kaya is it MMA? Oh my gosh, my eyes are going bad. Is it MNA? Oh, MRN. Oh my god, my eyes are bad. God. Oh, Modernum. Yes, we know Modernum. This thing is again complete play on a lot of the virus plays with the pandemic. Had a huge run up on potential some testing, and then they filed a lot of money due to the they sold a lot of shares to kind of potentially pay for their positive test that could be coming out. So there was a lot of insider knowledge, I think, as well. Wasn't very clear. Nothing is basically proven yet, or no, I don't think anyone's gone to court about this. But with this here, it's not looking pretty. It really isn't. So the 5 and 8 is costing through the 21. We've closed below the 50-day. That's not cool. So potentially this is kind of in no man's land. You kind of see I have a target here around $50. Potentially it could grind to 50 in the short to immediate term. We have a squeeze indicating RSI and volume oscillator are both pointing lower. It's not looking pretty. It really needs, if it wants to change, it really needs to make a direct V-shaped bottom and start getting above that 21 if you're long. Oh, you're long too? Yeah, that's a great one, dude. Josh McDaniels, LGD. Broski, yes, my friend. LGD. Oh, if I could type. Oh, it's not coming up. Oh, LGND. Okay, cool. Another pharmaceutical company. Okay, this looks interesting. So this is literally looking like a key lime pie pattern here. That's a joke. Really kind of this little potential, this downward visible line here. It's really holding the 21 very well, Josh. So it's kind of really consolidating here. There's no squeeze indicating. It looks like there's earnings potentially on the horizon on the end of the month. So between the 21 and 34, this looks really pretty for a potential breakout to kind of get above this little imaginary line here, or this little wedge here. I'm actually going to add this. This company seems very familiar before. What have they done? I've clearly heard of this company before. Because even, I don't know if they're doing anything with the virus, but even before this, they've kind of been not performing very well. Because you can see it's kind of been below the 200-day exponential average quite a few times. Yeah, I know this stock now. I just had to go out to the weekly chart. I remember this being completely blowing up here and just really trading higher. Okay, I'm familiar with this. I know this stock now. This was a lot of pharmaceutical forms way back in the day. I remember this stock very well. That really went out of grace without a doubt. Like between this and like Bluebird Bio, if that's still around, those are some stocks that I'm dating myself now there. So yeah, definitely it starts breaking below the 34, potentially some really strong resistance around the 200-day, which is around the 103 limit there. They're market leaders into SARMs and cancer research. Oh, great. Like isn't it just great to kind of invest in a company like that? Like, hey, they're actually really trying to save world problems and get rid of cancer, and you got an idiot like me buying Facebook and just giving those thoughts on Instagram more ad revenue or things like that. You never know. I haven't talked about UNH yet, and we did BA a little bit. We can talk about both really quick. Oh, Chad equals chat. Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't following. VRTX, bro, is super long. Okay, let's look at that. Okay, another pharmaceutical. Did we get all the farmer bros in here? Like, what happened? We were talking all technology stuff, and then we had like the last 10 ones have just been pharmaceutical companies. Did you guys just get out of a meeting or something? Like, I appreciate you stopping by. So VTRX, again, with this pharmaceutical company is going to be super careful because it looks like this one is a little bit more versed than some of the smaller price ones. It looks like it was one bad test or one bad run, or they're in phase 3 and then it fails and they have to cut everything and it just gets really bad. With this, it's really been, the support's around 50-day, so that's going to be around the 276 limit there with the 5 and 8 extra average. In the short term, the 21 is going to be on the downward support here. It's really, I don't like, it's a really difficult one because, again, I don't know what they have in their inventory. Pharmaceutical stuff is really going to be tied to some catalyst coming out. Because if I knew that there could be a potential catalyst coming out in the next 2 or 3 months, we can kind of put some trading into that. Strictly looking at the chart, I have to be very mindful between the 21 and the 50-day here as well. Potentially can go higher. It's looking like it hit an all-time high. This has been performing very well on the weekly side. So each time it comes down to potentially, again, seems like pretty crazy, the 262 limit could be some support. That's very far off, but the initial support's around like 280 for the short term. Again, 280, 283 is going to be my initial support where I would like to buy if I had money into it. Let's see here. Okay, looks a lot of more people just joined. Looks like the Farmer Bros. I did something. I was looking at one before I got confused with VRTX. Oh, UNH. Yeah, sorry. UNH we wanted to look at. So this is, again, UNH is a huge play on basically on who's going to become president. I know that Joe Biden's not really on the completely like Bernie Sanders was, where just wanted to completely replace everything. So that's kind of what happened with UNH in the past with Bernie, where it's just like, it was like, oh snap, like we might not have jobs, but we don't have to talk political stuff. But with UNH, you can see the support here on the 200-day, which is around basically 275 here. The parabolic SAR kind of show that as well. With the 5 and 8 crossing through the 21, it is looking like a catalyst for a potential push higher to the 315. Let me go do a quick fib here. I don't know if it's going to line up with the 100-day here, or the 100 percentile move. It looks like it, yeah. So initially, this previous high here kind of lines up here, so looking for 306 potentially, and then to the downside potentially to the 281. But it looks like it wants to print higher to potentially test at the all-time high at 315 there, my friend. Hopefully that was helpful, and thank you for joining. Thomas, any chance of checking out 3118 HK? I don't know what that means. Is that a Bible verse? I'm not sure what that means. Okay, looks like my chat just updated again. Thank you for scrolling to the bottom there, YouTube chat. J&J, we look at J&J, so that kind of keep with the overall pharma industry. J&J again have been around for probably 3,000 billion years. Really kind of trading in around the 200-day exponential moving average with earnings. Again, earnings season starting soon, guys. So be mindful of that with banks and some of these larger companies not performing next week. It's going to be the following week after that. We're going to really see some potential, a lot of movements. That's why you see a lot of options volumes. Premiums are already getting higher due to the overall likelihood of earnings coming up and seeing how everything reacts to it. With J&J, it's really kind of holding this 200-day. The parabolic SAR has just switched. We really need to see this above the 142.50 level, which is around that's the falling 21. The 5 and 8 have started to trade sideways, which is kind of great as well. But we need to see that kind of potentially kick higher between the 142.50, potentially to see some higher prices. Again, with earnings on the horizon, I'm super mindful of being very careful on trading this one without a doubt. Let's see. You're welcome, my friend. You're welcome for the trading ideas. Hopefully everyone does well. Let's see. I want to see. Sorry, my chat's moving too fast and my eyes are like seeing double. I don't drink, but I was tired. Apple. Let's look at Apple. So AAPL. That is, again, so Apple is what I look at what market leaders are. Apple is, again, a huge component in so many different ETFs, and it's just it's very heavy weight in all those ETFs. So really, if Apple moves up or down, it really just kind of moves the market. So it's a really great indication to kind of see on how the overall performing of the market goes. So Apple is doing pretty flipping good, boys and girls. Between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, kind of traded sideways for this week due to the fact of basically the overall market's been really choppy as well. Potentially with the new spike of cases, people kind of rolling back to phase 2 in a couple states, and more people saying, hey, let's start putting on face masks. But that being said, be mindful that Apple is the market leader in a lot of different sections. Apple is going to wants to continue going higher with earnings on the horizon as well. It's going to be towards the end of the month, so we're going to see a lot more other names perform and come out ahead of it. We'll see here, but again, if Apple dips to around the 350 limit, I would like to buy. I'm not going to buy straight calls, but I could sell some puts. I could do some other things around that price target. Really get into some interesting stuff there. With this being said, I want to really do a fib analysis on this here as well. So it's really broken that 1272 extension here. It's around the 358. So we have that price target around basically the $400 price target. It can get up there without a doubt with earnings, which is the end of the month. So we look here at earnings at the end of the month. So we play the 31 options. They're saying plus or minus $30 from now, and we're closed at $64. So that's going to make it around 95 or 395. That is pretty close to the $400 price target. Would I be buying out of the money calls for this month? That's super risky due to the fact of that anything can happen with the next 2 or 3 days or even a week, and those calls can completely just get obliterated because you're paying as of the market's not open, so basically $200 or $225 to $230 per call. For out of the money, again, it's in the options earnings week. It could move without a doubt. This would be more of a, I wouldn't call it a complete Wall Street bets. A complete Wall Street bets would buy like the $500 call that's expiring tomorrow, and somehow that one lucky person would make $1 million off of it. What's going on? Who's spamming what? Yeah, Ryan, the RSI can be very misleading as well due to the fact if you continue to just look at the RSI, but I really like to use it in comparison to the moving averages and then also confirmation between the volume oscillator and the momentum of the stock. So, yeah. Where does your name Dyslexic Investor come from? Dyslexic, and I invest. that's the thought process there, my friend. Hey Ken, there are a bunch of people from another channel spamming on you. Pretty disrespectful. Who's doing it? I'm not. Maybe YouTube's blocking it on my end. I'm not seeing anything here. We did look at MU. We can look at MU again. So MU was something that we basically kind of looked at, kind of a correlation of AMD. So we kind of did like a little imaginary box on this as well. Really trading in between the 200-day and which is around the $47 to $52 limit. Really just trading sideways. We need to see if you want to see it to go higher or get some more momentum going. We really need to see that the red to yellow is going to start changing for the momentum, and the volume oscillator is looking great. RSI needs to kind of curl up. If you want to go long MU, it's going to be. This kind of I wouldn't say scared me, but it was like what happened here? But it was a great quarter, but then came right back down to 21. Like a little strange, without a doubt, right? So just be mindful of that. Support basically at first level is around 48 to 49 for a potential grind higher. So just be very careful with that one. For Tesla for the week, bro, I think it just can trade sideways, potentially even go higher, unless something comes out really negative. I think it could have a pretty strong earnings run without a doubt. With like a huge earnings run, basically. With earnings coming out confirming around the 22nd, I can just see this continue trading sideways or potentially even higher. Like it's going to be its own beast. Space. If we look at space. Yeah, we can do Google. I think you asked about that. Google. We can look at Google as well. So space is something that we have some long-term options in. Just a small little play here to kind of play this section of space exploration and traveling, whatever you want to call it, for myself. Really been holding that 200-day around the $15 limit very well. Has been in multiple squeezes, kind of just trading sideways for the long term unless something really starts happening. That being said, I'm bullish on this. So can it go back to 42? I don't know, but it would be great if it can. But potentially there's a lot of overhead resistance around the $17 to $18 limit if it gets above that. But again, if things start getting evolving and things start going positive for space traveling, I think they're trading astronauts to do that. So I think overall it would be great for them. We can look at Google, yes. Google was part of a lot of the ad blocking too, right? It wasn't just like Facebook and Twitter and them. I don't know how you can talk about not cutting all your ads, but whatever. So we covered this one during our last live stream on Sunday as well. We made this little fake visible line here, which was kind of mimicking the 50-day simple moving average, and we thought if it can hold this, it could really pop higher, and that's exactly what happened. It popped substantially higher than we thought, honestly. With the overall reversal of Facebook and things like that, and basically people were saying like, okay, F you ads or whatever companies are boycotting them, we're just going to be just fine. with the 5 and 8 crossing through the 21 again and continue printing higher. This has been performing extremely well, really breaking out here. But again, it's kind of falling back into this trend here where it was previously just a week ago. So it's kind of made it back onto the course, and now it's just kind of like trading sideways potentially to come into earnings. I want to see it above the $1,500 limit. That could be easily said if it has a great quarter, but again, that 50-day simple moving average has been its downward support. So I'm starting to drink some more water. Californian Vol C GC. Yeah, canopy growth, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. I'm sure it's going to be legalized throughout the world at some point, but there's a squeeze indicating here. RSI and volume zone oscillators kind of just little blah. It's just been performing. I want to call this could be a base if you want to call it. I want to look at a longer time frame. It's just kind of like lost its even before. It's well below the 200-day exponential moving average. If it does break out, I can see it hit $20 and then kind of continue going lower. It really needs to be driven by whoever the next elected Congress and president is there. Thoughts on NVTA? Ooh, that's a crazy looking stock there. So I don't know what happened here. It looks like something happened, like some great news. They figured out how to clone the golden goose or something there. Again, really trading above that, nearly around the 200-day exponential moving average, and then just taking off. Hard to say what's going to be happening here. Looks like I can give you some potential price targets here on the fib level, potentially looking at 34. But again, depending on what made this move, that 34, 24, the 5 and 8 exponential moving average has been really strong on the upward trend. But if that starts losing lackluster, it could be really coming back down. Guys, we're going to do a couple more here, then I'm going to call it a night. It's 11:11 here on the East Coast. I could definitely do a live stream potentially tomorrow during live market hours if folks want to do that. I usually do those around 2:30 to 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and they go until basically the end of market close and then answer some questions. Roku, and then we'll do Lulu. Roku. So Roku is basically in this little imaginary box as well. If you imagine a mime kind of just doing these little imaginary walls and kind of closing in, it really needs to break above the $131 limit and really close above it and kind of build up strong base to potentially push higher. It has tried to get above this level for a couple times. It's really failed. You can kind of see here, it's kind of trying here, it failed here, and failed here. So it's failed 3 more times, so maybe 4th time's a charm to kind of break above that $331 limit. To the downside, the 200-day is basically your support line here. Is around $115 there. Lululemon. LULU. So I guess they're buying this. They're buying a mirror company, which is like a workout thing that you can see a hologram of yourself and someone else in there. This one has been performing pretty well. The Carter. Sorry, I'm getting tired now, boys. Sorry. So the 21 has been strong support here. The 34 has really kind of come in on this downward support, even though the quarter wasn't that great. Kind of traded sideways. Then they came out and they bought a company, had a huge gap up, kind of let the 5 and 8 never really cross through the 21 fully. Potentially could be trading sideways. The parabolic also on that move has switched to the bottom, looking for a potential test around that $324 limit as well. CGC is a good for a swing. I wouldn't want to play it honestly because it's going to be too heavily tied to whatever the overall marijuana market does. And I just don't know what goes on in that market, honestly. GNUS. Was that you who recommended that last time we talked about this? I kind of added it to my watch list. It's a really spec play. Again, very cheap stock. Really don't want to put too much into it. Could have put in a couple $100. So the 5 and 8 are trying to cross through the 21 for a potential push higher. If it starts breaking above $4, this really could get up and running with this huge volume that kind of came in here with the RSI and volume oscillator. Again, if it really fails the break above and stay above $3, this really can kind of come falling down. But really we want to see this potentially push higher above the $4 limit this coming couple days for some potential price targets around $7. CRM, Conatan, PFE. Is that Pfizer? Yeah, so they came out with some really positive data, right? I think like 24, 25 people tested very positive or had good reaction to their overall phase 1 human testing, I believe. Again, really popped up, kind of got above the 21, switched the parabolic SAR over. We also have earnings on the horizon. So between the 5 and 8, potentially this momentum can continue, really start kicking above the 21 here for a nice kick to potentially test the 35 or even test the $36 if this really can get up and moving. Because again, Pfizer is a huge company, it's been around for years, so it's not going to be a crazy mover like some of the other pharmaceutical companies. CRM. Salesforce, yeah, this has been another great, fantastic company. Really, a lot of people are discovering this, most likely due to the pandemic and everything. Really kind of bouncing and failing here at its all-time highs. You can kind of look here again on the weekly chart. That's around the $95 limit. This really wants to break above this. It kind of just failed the first time. Potentially kind of get kicked back a little bit. Potentially come back down to the 190. Get that momentum and then pop higher to kind of break above that. No earnings on the horizon, so nothing to really report there, but downward support is going to be around the 183 limit there to the downside, potentially even the 34, so around the 181 to 182 for some downside support, but potentially it really wants to break above that 195 without a doubt. Can you look at ZM and W? Yeah, we'll look at Zoom and waste, or not waste management. What is that? W is Wayfair, right? Zoom, like we said, it's just been one of the fantastic momentum stocks. Again, momentum stocks meaning it's just trading on the daily chart between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average and to continue grinding higher. This is gonna continue grinding higher until God only knows what happens. Potentially, first line of support on the strong pullback is going to be around the 21, potentially in between that, because it's going to be pretty heavy volume to kind of cut through the 21 and kind of get in around that range. For Wayfair, same as well. Since that last quarter, it really took off, really kind of came down to the 21 exponential moving average. Really held strong support there, even with some pullbacks here. Have a nice pop higher for a potential earnings run as well. Even had I don't know on what guidance they gave for the potential next earnings, but I think with more and more people staying at home, more and more people spending money online, and rather going to the furniture stores, picking out things, I think Wayfair is being a huge benefit of this as well. That being said, if it gets down to 21, maybe we want to sell some puts on this, what I would do, or buy some stock just to start a position potentially there. But with earnings on the horizon, we could be super careful with that to see how it moves. Guys, on that note, it is getting super late for my eyes here, and my brain is really slowing down here. I really do appreciate everyone coming out. We are doing more live streams. I really do enjoy doing these live streams on Sunday nights. Sorry that it was a little bit later. I'm joining the party at 9:30, but potentially we can do another live stream tomorrow for some fantastic during the market trading. We can do some live trading between like 2:30 to potentially the close of the market, which we think fun. A lot of people like to see that insight trading, and sometimes I show exactly what I'm trading, because a lot of times all my trades that get executed most of the time are between 3 and 4 p.m. So if you want to join that, I'll put out a note probably tomorrow and put it on Discord and YouTube, so you can kind of see that as well. That being said, we'll see. I like 9:30. You like 9:30, Alan? Okay. I think 9:30 gives me enough time too as well, so I can have fun with the kid and enjoy the evening without feeling too rushed to get things done. I think I might keep 9:30. Thanks, guys, again, so much for joining. If I didn't get to your questions, I truly do apologize. It was just completely random if I missed it. We'll look at the overall, some more tickers and everything tomorrow. If you want to join the Discord, I think I have that in the description. Also, if you want to go directly support with the Patreon page, we kind of just did a new thing where I have a poll where I ask the users on what they want to see on some insights on tickers on long and short-term trades for some charts. We did that. We did some Clorox and SPY. If you want to check that out, if you want to join the Patreon page. And then if you're interested on just trading, we have a great platform that we partner with, which is Tastyworks, so you can definitely check that out. Link below there as well. Guys, that's enough said. I hope everyone has a fantastic days and a fantastic evening, and I hope everyone stays safe. Again, this is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Please be safe. Peace.